Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Pause of Pursuit podcast with your host, Summer Clark. How are we all? I am very tired. Very, very tired. It is currently Tuesday, but it feels like Monday because of the bank holiday. That's my stomach. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm hungry as usual. But yeah, 6 p.m. on Tuesday, but it feels like Monday. Yesterday was bank holiday Monday. I am pretty much straight off the back of 4 consecutive days of agility. I guess we'll just jump straight into my weekly recap because 4 straight days of agility is pretty much all I've been doing over the past week. So the IQ at Nottingham was obviously on Friday. You guys probably already saw my posts. So happy with Arrow over those 2 courses. He was amazing. He just had a pole down and a brick out the wall in the jumping, but his time was absolutely unreal. In hindsight, I was a little late for the blind after 3, which is the pole he took, as I wanted to make sure he didn't go in the tunnel that was right next to it. But he didn't even look at the tunnel. He did everything I asked of him and felt amazing. That was a fab course. In the agility, he did leave the seesaw early, so I redid it, but the rest of that run was perfect, which I couldn't believe. So super happy. He is feeling so good on those kinds of courses, and I'm finally going in, knowing we can actually do this, because at one point I would have walked these courses and thought, oh my God, this is way above our pay grade. It's really, really hard. But now I actually walk it thinking, yeah, you know what, we can proper do this, and we do. So awesome day. Then, obviously, Nottingham was Saturday, Sunday. I keep saying obviously today. So the first day was Champ Day. And once again, it wasn't quite meant to be for us in Champ, but Arrow felt great nonetheless. To be fair, the courses for Champ did not suit us. They just weren't Arrow courses, when you know what kind of courses your dog suits. They weren't that for Arrow. And I did know that going into them. But considering he didn't do too shabby, I let him down in Champ jumping because I said left when I really didn't need to, out of a tunnel. And you know what he's like, he loves his tunnel turns, and he just came straight left, way too tight, cut in front of me and took the wrong jump. But yeah, it was a really awkward bit on the course, to be fair, but I didn't need to cue that left at all. But again, the rest was perfect. And then Champ agility just wasn't listening. He was being quite naughty. He couldn't do a backside twice. I did see a few other dogs do the same thing. Again, I think the lines were just a bit awkward for some dogs. Again, some courses suit some dogs more than others. I think the quite quick dogs struggled on the lines on those courses, basically, from what it felt like for me running Arrow and what I watched of other people with similar dogs. But yeah, so I screwed up Champ jumping, he screwed up Champ agility, so I guess we're even. He was really, really cool in Reese Parrin's amazing 6-7 agility. That course was incredible. Every show needs Reese Parrin judging. Just saying. Any show organisers out there, please. Literally the best course I've run in forever. It was amazing, especially at a KC show. Iconic standard at Nottingham. So thank you to Reese. He gave me the most beautiful seesaw, complete with the 2-on-2 off. But he then got his footing wrong on the dog walk, which was second to last obstacle. It was dog walk and then straight jump finish. He got his footing wrong going up. He tried to save it the whole time, but he did bail off the down plank because he just couldn't hold on to it, basically. But he tried so hard. So he just got 5 in that, bless him. Fortunately, he's absolutely fine. It wasn't a bad fall or anything like that. He did land pretty much fine. Twisted a little bit, but yeah, he was absolutely fine. Gave him a rub down afterwards. And yeah, he still managed to finish 4th in that, even with the 5. So that was a shame, but it was such a tricky course that, yeah, the 4th with 5 still placed us 4th. And they're big classes at Nottingham. So that day he gave me 2 out of 2 seesaws and felt really good, so cannot complain. Then the last day of Nottingham, best day, because Arrow qualified for the KC Stakes semi-final at KCI, which you will all know means a lot to me because I had to pull out of Olympia last year, and this is the semi-final for that. So KC Stakes is quote-unquote Olympia. So the semi-final will be at KCI, and then that will take us to Olympia if we qualify. So super happy to get that qualification done and dusted. We came 4th out of 124 dogs, and he held his seesaw. So that wasn't even his fastest run. And he came 4th, top 5 qualify. seesaw, I literally was like, oh my God, he's done it. But then obviously I had to concentrate for the rest of the run. But yeah, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that bit was so good. And then I think, oh God, I need to think about the rest of this course now, not just that really good bit you just did. But yeah, really, really happy with that. And we also won Crufts singles jumping out of 112 dogs. Like, again, one of my favourite runs we've ever done together. I love that course. It had a super tight turn out of a tunnel, which Arrow loves. But yeah, so 2 fantastic runs there. He bizarrely ran straight past a threadle slice in the agility of the singles. Singles agility, keeping us from the qualification for Crufts, which is gutting, but it was just one thing again. It was just the angle. I don't think he really saw it as a jump. I think he just kind of saw a white stick. It was like the not perfect, like an exact threadle off of an A-frame, if that makes sense. So from his perspective, I just don't think he picked it up. And there was a tunnel after that was wide open to him. So, yeah, he tried, bless him, and the rest of that run was perfect. And another fantastic seesaw. Gutting as it is, I am so happy with that singles jumping win. That is literally amazing. He then won the YKC Agility Dog of the Year jumping round and had the fastest time by not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, 6 seconds, with just a pole down in the agility, which kept us from that cross qualification too. Very, very annoying, but yeah, he felt amazing this day. Really, really cool. And to top it off, he stopped on all of his seesaws over the past 2 days. So Saturday, Sunday, all of his seesaws he stopped on, which absolutely thrilled. Feel like we're finally getting somewhere with them, which I literally cannot ask for any more at this stage. And then finally, yesterday was the second and final GB team day before EO. Even saying that out loud is crazy. It's coming around so fast, so exciting, but also a little bit scary because so much I say so much to prepare. Basically done most of it, but yeah, just can't believe it's coming around so quickly. Arrow did some great work. We had a few different sessions, a weave session, and then we also had a VAR session for the seesaw, which is how they are going to be judging, close call seesaws at EO. So basically a super, super slow-mo video of the dog on the seesaw that they'll use if the judge isn't sure whether the dog got it or not. And Arrow did stay on the end of the seesaw even after I gave him his release cue during this VAR session. It was meant to be a quick release drill. We've obviously been doing not way too much, but obviously doing so much seesaw criteria that he was like, no, I'm not falling for it. I'm not quick releasing. I'm staying on this thing. So yeah, that was a proper tell me you've been hammering your seesaw criteria lately without telling me moment. Yeah, very funny, but what a good boy. But yeah, super, super fun day. And yeah, 44 days until we leave for Portugal. Can you believe it? Because I cannot. But that is pretty much my weekly recap for this week. Very, very busy, exciting week to update you guys on. Sorry, but not sorry if you follow me on social media, because you will have literally already seen and heard and yeah, you'll have already seen what I've written and the videos about the weekend. But I'm telling you again, it's always more fun to hear it in my voice, right? That's why you guys listen to this podcast. So without further ado then, because I've been yapping about the weekend for 10 solid minutes, today's podcast episode is with Ashleigh Butler. This was a super, super fun, entertaining conversation. Really, really, really interesting. I learned a lot about Ashleigh that I didn't know before, so I'm sure you guys will as well. We are going to be talking all about Ashleigh's journey from winning Britain's Got Talent all those years ago to now representing Agility Team GB. Yeah, super, super interesting conversation. Obviously, I asked you guys to ask Ashleigh your own questions around this topic on my story a few weeks ago, and you guys delivered. We've got 15 solid questions you guys asked, and Ashleigh is answering them all for you today. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Before we start with the questions, I always ask my guests to just briefly introduce themselves, although I'm sure most people, or pretty much everyone, knows who you are. But in case anyone doesn't, do you just want to introduce yourself?
Yep, hi, my name is Ashleigh, and I'm now 30 years old, and I am a dog trainer and performer. Whenever anybody asks me what I do for a living, it's a complicated answer.
It's a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah, so every day, like my day-to-day life is agility and training and teaching people, but then also there's a completely different, separate half of my life, and that's performing and being on stage and TV. So yeah.
How regularly do you do that?
It really depends. That side of my life is very all over the place. The entertainment industry is very, you're not doing a job until you're actually there doing it. So yeah, I'll get offers or I'll get job opportunities come up, but I'm not actually doing it until I'm there and then I'm doing it.
So you kind of just wait for it to pop up.
Yeah, pretty much. I always do panto at Christmas, so that's always a guaranteed. But also, each company that I work for have different runs as well. So of panto, so it could be from anywhere from November to January, or it could be a shorter run. I just don't really know until I get the contract through and stuff like that. So yeah, that side of my life is a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, didn't one of them clash with Olympia as well, being the Christmas time?
Yeah, it always does. So
typical.
yeah, so last year Nacho won the Olympia semis, but unfortunately I had to pull out, which I was gutted about because I actually think he'd be great. Well, I think he'd be great at Olympia. I wouldn't be able to keep up with him, so I'm not sure how I'd be there. But,
he'd love the courses. I say that about Arrow. I'm like, he'd absolutely love it, but I'd just be miles behind.
I don't know what would happen there because I think I'd just be literally a mile behind him. But I think he'd enjoy it. But yeah, unfortunately, Olympia is one of those things that I've had to give up. And I haven't done Olympia since I was running Pudsey. So it's been a very long time because I've always been working, unfortunately. So it's just one of those things that I just have to sacrifice.
At least it's more winter instead of like through the summer season and like EO time and stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, last year I was touring, I toured during Easter, and that was difficult because I'd started rehearsals and then halfway through rehearsals were our second lot of GB trials. So I had to go back to GB trials, and that was really weird because my two worlds are normally so separate. They're very separate. But in that situation, it wasn't. It was like literally I was in the middle of rehearsals and in that world, and then I had to jump back and then go to GB trials for 2-3 days and then jump back into it.
Yeah, it's like so switching mindsets, isn't it? Because you've got to be in like a certain mindset to compete and perform, I bet, but completely different.
Yeah, it is. And also the people are all so different as
well. I bet.
And friendships are different, and just I mean it was very like weird jumping from one world back into the other, back to the other. So it took me some time to like adjust after that, but I'm used to it now. Yeah,
true. Has all that kind of performing side of it come from, obviously this podcast touches on when you won Britain's Got Talent. Is that where it kind of all started?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without it. I to be honest, at school I was always very into drama and dance, and I was never a very academic person, shall we say. I've always been very much a hands-on person, very, probably you could say creative.
Yeah, definitely.
Way more creative than you know, academically smart.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, I was always into that, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now without BGT.
And it's all those years ago.
Too many years ago now. 2012 was when I won. So
that's crazy. Very long time ago.
Yeah.
Awesome. So the first question then is, how did you first get into agility? And one of my questions was actually going to be, did agility come after Britain's Got Talent?
No, so I've been doing agility since I was 5 years old.
Wow, okay.
So a long time ago, and I think people don't really realise that because
I didn't.
BGT and all of that kind of take over. So I've been doing agility for 25 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I started because of my mum. She did agility, so when I was born, I was kind of just thrown into the world of dogs. And she actually had a papillon that was the same age as me, so we grew up together.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, and it was really cute. She was called Shammy, and my mum tried to train her and run her in agility, and she didn't want to. So I started, and then she loved running with me. So
perfect! You're honoured.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I got into agility.
Wow.
Many moons ago.
Yeah, and then the HTM that obviously you did with Pudsey to start with. Was he already doing agility at that point? Had you already taught him agility?
Yeah. So agility has always been, or always was, like my main dog sport, my main passion. But because of YKC, and all the qualifiers they did, I tried everything. I've done flyball. I competed in flyball. We actually won years ago. I did grooming. I did show handling. I tried. Oh my God,
you've done all of it, yeah.
Yeah, I have, which, again, not many people know about.
No, I wouldn't have known that. To be fair, though, the YKC, like, you go to the days and there's, like, tasters of everything. They are very good at, like, throwing you into everything, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's kind... I think it was more just, like, trying out things and seeing what I always loved. But, I mean, agility for me was always my main one. And then Hillworks Music came up because they were started doing the Hillworks Music qualifiers for Crufts. So I'd done everything else and I tried everything and I qualified for Crufts and everything else. So I was like, oh, let's give this a go. And then the rest is history, as they say. And Pudsey was a phenomenal agility dog. Like he won, I can't tell you how many champ tickets, and represented his country and did all of that, which again, not many people know because BGT took over, but he was a phenomenal agility dog in his time. But he also absolutely loved performing. And he came alight when there was a big audience and people cheering for him. So
which is perfect for agility as well, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. He definitely rose to an occasion. He was definitely a dog that, when there was a big crowd or a lot of pressure, he rose to it.
That's exactly what you need.
Everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Multi-talented.
He was a phenomenal dog. He was a multi-talented dog. He was great at everything he did. He had a very level head on him, always, which is exactly what you need.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter what you do, he was very chill and just kept his head, and he was a cool boy.
Bless him. So how has agility evolved then since you first got into it? So 25 years ago, what was that? That was 2000? So so
2000.
Yeah, so since 2000, like, if you can remember that far back, how would you say agility's evolved? And, like, I think it's evolved in a lot of ways. So we could be here all day answering this single question, but in general, what would you say?
So in general, I mean, it's almost like a different sport now. Obviously, like, if I look back at Pudsey and the dog that he was and the courses that we were running back then, he was a great dog for then. He was very tight turning, very much stuck to my leg. Wouldn't, go off anywhere. So for that time, he was a brilliant dog. Would he be as successful now? Probably not, because the courses. I think the biggest thing is our course design. Has changed 100%. So much. Our course design and our handling. Obviously, 25 years ago, we were doing old, handling system, front crosses everywhere, rear crosses, no fancy blinds or anything like that. No running contacts. It was all stock contacts.
You definitely have to run a lot faster these days.
Oh yeah, you have to have. I think in a way, in a way, you have to have more skills on your dog, because they have to work away from you so much more.
Verbals as well.
Verbals back then, like, you used to run everywhere with your dog, and they used to be on the end of your finger. So you wouldn't need as many, like, commands or anything like that. Whereas now, I think you need more skills on the dog, more independency, and more verbals as well. I think all round, behavior wise and training wise, it's still the same. I still teach the same foundations and flat work and things like that. But course design is probably the biggest thing that's changed. Sometimes you can say for the better, sometimes not. I mean, these massive distances of like 10 meters and things like that, I'm not always convinced that it's the best thing for our dogs.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, but then in terms of, so like Pudsey, for example, when I was running him, he never, I never used to get him checked by physios or anything like that.
No one thought to, I suppose.
Warm him up.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, never used to warm him up.
Get in there and do it.
Just get in there and get it done.
Yeah.
And Pudsey never had an injury in his life, like in his agility career ever. Whereas I feel like now we're seeing more and more dog injuries, and you could argue is that because we are better at finding them and seeing them and getting our dogs checked out, or is it that we're asking for so much more from them, like speed wise? And
I suppose the faster they're going, the higher risk of something happening, and the more it's going to hurt on collision. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So you could look at it in both ways, and say both of them have positives and negatives to them.
I say that when I watch videos, even when I watch videos of me running Ethel, my terrier, even just like 2017 when I was on junior team, even then the courses were completely different, but she was brilliant at them. Like you said, tight turns, really hard bits that really fast dogs would get wrong and stuff like that. But, if you put Arrow or Nacho on those courses, they'd probably hurt themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they would. They would end up killing themselves because they're so used to being an extension through a course now. Very rarely do we ask collection from them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Nacho definitely would probably end up killing himself if we ever went back.
Yeah, no, that's it. But yes, you're right. There's probably more, really good dog physios now than potentially there were back then, so it's probably a combination of both, I suppose.
I think if you look at both sides of it, there's positives and negatives to both, and I love now that we're more aware of our dogs and we work harder to keep our dogs fitter, but we're doing that because we're asking more of them, and their bodies are being under demand way more than they ever have been before. So it's like swings and roundabouts. Like I said, both have their positives and negatives.
Yeah, and even back then, I suppose it depends on, each course was different. You get a better course or a worse course for your specific dog, and different judges doing different course designs. So it's just a bigger...
I think, talking about that, I think also, maybe I did, but I don't ever remember, running Pudsey and Champ and, moaning about a course design.
No,
and being this is a really bad course design or whatever.
Yeah.
Not even just me, in general, as a community, I don't remember that ever happening. We used to go, okay, this is a course in front of us and we just do it.
Yeah. But now I feel like you see the course and you think, what angle's my dog going to come at that piece of equipment at what speed? Whereas they probably had no speed going into anything. So it didn't matter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'd agree. I'd say that's definitely the thing that's evolved the most.
Yeah.
So, did you compete in the YKC, which we've already said you did, when you were younger?
Yeah.
And if so, what is your best piece of advice for those transitioning from junior to senior competition?
So this is a tough one because when I was running in YKC, there wasn't a YKC junior team.
Oh, really?
There wasn't. That wasn't a thing.
Oh no, because I think it was 2016 was the first year, wasn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it was something like around there, and I was definitely not a junior then. So I had to run in the adult team when I was a junior. I think my first year was Czech Republic, and that was 2010. Was my first year, and I didn't get the opportunity that juniors get now, where they can go run as a junior and do all of that, and then transition into the senior team. And I'm not sure. I think, again, it has its pros and cons. For me, I was kind of just thrown into it and had to just get on with it, and there you go. So I never really had to adjust in a way from going from a junior event to a senior event. I never had that. I was literally just thrown into it, off you go.
So that's potentially easier because it's not as much of a shock.
Yeah, I think it was then. Don't get me wrong. Me and Gemma actually were talking at WAO last week because there's a junior event there now, and we were saying, oh my God, we would have absolutely have killed for this opportunity when we were juniors.
Yeah, that's it.
would have loved it, but there just wasn't anything like it. So I'm very jealous of juniors now that they get that opportunity, and it's great. But I can also see how it can be really difficult to go from the junior event and then having to almost be thrown right into the deep end of right, juniors are over, now you're into seniors. And I've, seen both sides of juniors and seniors, being friends with like management and stuff like that. So I see the difference of like the teams and the dynamics in teams. I think for the juniors, everyone's friends and they all get on.
It's very different,
whatever.
Isn't it?
It's very different. And then I think for seniors, I think it can be just a little bit more difficult because there's more cliques there.
Yeah, a bit more serious.
It's definitely more serious, but I think it's more serious because it's people's jobs now.
Exactly, it means a bit more, potentially.
It means more because our jobs rely on us doing well.
Yeah,
whereas as a junior, if you don't do well, it's like, I didn't do well, but, it's not the end of my career or whatever.
Yeah, because they're probably probably planning doing something else anyway as a career, so.
Exactly. Whereas with seniors, it's our jobs now, like, especially a lot of us are dog trainers, so we need to be seen doing well.
Exactly.
Getting on the team and then hopefully eventually medaling. So a lot more rides on doing well in the seniors.
More pressure.
More pressure. I think you've got a lot more personalities on the team. So, people working, you're not going to get along with everyone. Like, it's just not going to happen.
No, never.
So I think for a junior, that's quite difficult to go from the junior dynamic of a team and everyone, being friends and getting on, to then jumping into the seniors and having so many personalities in the team and also you're the youngest on the team, so you're gonna feel
bit of that imposter syndrome feeling when you first get in there.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's really difficult, and I'd like to think as a senior team we try and bring in juniors as much as possible, but it's it's still difficult for us as well because you're way younger than us.
Yes,
what do we have in common?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like I said, I would have killed for the opportunity to have an event like that as a junior. I think it's brilliant, and I think it also gives you the opportunity to start feeling that pressure. Maybe not quite as much as senior team, but you're still feeling that pressure.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the same environment, just potentially a little bit less, like you said, pressure.
Yeah. And then I think you jump to the senior team, and then obviously when you go out there for the first time on the senior team, you see just how cutthroat the competition is. Like first place to like 35th place could all be within a second. Like it's mad.
Yeah, and it usually is, isn't it? With the other countries as well. Like seeing the adults from the other countries, like they're insane as well. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Like it's a whole nother level.
It is, and I can also see how juniors then will go to that event and just be like a little bit mind blown. Like again, you're going from a juniors event where the competition's tough, don't get me wrong, but there might be more of a gap in like times and things like that, whereas the seniors, it's like it's crazy.
Yeah, there's
how
nothing
close
in it.
Everyone
it is the
and
difference.
You have to be perfect.
It is the difference between like a tight turn and a slightly less tight turn. Silly thing.
Like you literally need to be perfect.
Otherwise,
like you said, I remember I did a run with Sully in Denmark a couple of years ago, and it was an okay run. It wasn't a great run, and I think we came like 38th.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. And so, Sully was like the fastest small dog in the UK. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
So so it is cutthroat, but I'm very jealous you do get the junior events.
Yeah, I suppose as well. I was thinking this last week watching the WO, going on online and stuff. That I like how the juniors and the seniors kind of go together, like it's one event.
Yeah.
So there's the junior event at the senior event, like they're both. It's all just WAO, and there's different age categories. So they're mixing with the adults and seeing the adults run. Whereas I suppose with Team GB for EO, they're two separate environments completely.
They're completely separate.
So I suppose I think that's quite nice about WAO as well.
Well, I also think like the juniors running on the adult courses as well. Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah, there's no difference.
That makes a massive difference. Like there's no like dumbing down. Not that I'm saying the courses are dumbed down for juniors, but there's, we're all running the same course at WAO.
Yes, exactly.
Like Isabella was running Vi as a junior, and I was like, when we were training, like prepping for WAO, I went to like, you are running the same courses as seniors, because I think the courses I was setting up for her at training, she was like, these are really hard, and I was like, yeah, because you are running the same as me out there. So and
that's it.
I don't think she thought that was. I think she thought she was going to have separate courses.
To be fair, I would have thought that they would have. Yeah, I would have thought that.
Yeah.
But no.
No, you're running the same courses as us, which again, you can argue, or maybe they're too hard for juniors. But if you see some of those juniors out there, some of those juniors actually were in contention of medaling in the adults, like.
Yeah, bet. Yeah, well, I was going to say, even watching some current like YKC members, you just think they're as good as the adults. Do you know what I mean? A lot of them.
I know.
The skill's there.
So I do like WAO in that sense, that we're all on the same thing. Yes, you have your different competitions in your age categories and everything like that, but we're all running on the same courses.
Yeah. So to kind of summarise it then, what would your piece of advice be for those transitioning into seniors, if you could give one piece of advice?
I would say don't put too much pressure on yourself.
That's huge, definitely.
I think the first year, let's say you're going from a junior to an adult team, I would say the first year you do that transition onto that adult team, don't put too much pressure on yourself and don't set your goals too high. I would say be reasonable on what you want to achieve. Don't go out there and being like, right, I'm going to win a gold medal and everything.
Definitely.
Because you run the possibility of setting yourself up for failure there.
And being disappointed instead of happy with your performance.
Being disappointed, exactly. So I think you need to set yourself realistic goals. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and just get used to the environment out there and the feel of the team and everything like that. And also just stand back and watch, like learn. Like we do GP training days and stuff like that. And just stand back and take it in, because you have years and years and years ahead of you. Like you don't need to be doing everything now. Yeah. Obviously winning a medal would be great, but you've got all the time in the world to do that. So I'd say your first year that you're doing that and you're going through that transition, just take it all in.
Think of it as more experience than anything.
Yeah,
and then think,
absolutely.
Well, if I gain experience from this, it's a success, and therefore it's going to be a success.
Well, everybody needs experience.
Exactly.
Like, the more experienced you are, the better you're inevitably going to be. So everybody needs that experience, no matter how old you are.
Yes,
even if it's your first year ever on a team. Like, again,
even as an adult.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, don't set unrealistic goals. Just take it all in, get the experience, and then, build upon that.
And as we all know, the more pressure we put on ourselves, the worse it often goes. So another reason to avoid doing that.
Absolutely.
So this is an interesting one. So are Sully and Nacho the same breed as Pudsey? And if so, what are they? And what is your favourite characteristic of theirs?
So they're all different. Pudsey was a cross between a Bichon Frise, a Border Collie, and a Chinese Crested. God, I had to remember that.
Wow, that's a good mix, that.
Yeah. So Sully was similar, but he has Poodle in him instead of the Bichon Frise.
Oh, right, okay.
And then Nacho is straight Border Collie cross Poodle.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. I thought there was something else in there.
No, he's just half Collie, half Poodle. Hence why he probably thinks he's a Border Collie, because he's got a Collie brain. Yeah. And I would say my favourite characteristic, so a Pudsey was his calmness and just his ability to be chill and then just turn it on. And he'd just be like, yeah, boom, I know we're performing. Or he was very, like you just said, a good all-round dog.
Yeah.
And he was very much my dog, didn't care about anybody else. And I do miss that a little bit, because he was very much my dog, didn't care about anybody else. So I missed that.
Yeah.
Sully, my favourite characteristic
There's
about
just so
him.
many.
There is so many about Sully. He makes me laugh a lot. He's got a lot of character about him.
Yeah. More like a little person.
And he is like a little person, and he's like a little person in a funny way. He makes me laugh a lot, and and he was crazy when he was doing agility as well. He was, no matter what, he was up for it, and he was crazy.
Always
even now at 12 years old. Yeah, even now at 12 years old, you wouldn't ever say he's 12. You'd say he's probably like 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably his craziness and making me laugh. And then Nacho, his work ethic and his drive is, I've never had a dog like it. He's like a Mally in a fluffy body. He would
very full on.
He would work. Yeah. Well, he is and he isn't. Like at home, you don't even know he's here. He's very quiet. Like he's chill. I can take him anywhere. Like at WAO last week in the house, he was 3 years old, but he's like an old man a little bit. He's just like,
oh, bless him.
Whatever. And then you get him in front of agility, and it's like
a different dog.
Like a different dog, yeah. And he would work all day long. That boy. But he's very much agility. Tricks, he does tricks, but he's like,
not too fast.
Take it or leave it. He doesn't really care about tricks. He wants to run and he wants to do agility. Like that's his.
And he wants to go fast.
Thing. And he wants to go fast. Yeah, as fast as he possibly can. So yeah, probably his work ethic and his drive would be my favourite thing about him.
Which one would you say has been the most challenging to train?
Probably Sully, because when he was young, he was scared of his own shadow. Like he was petrified of everything, everything and anything. And I was like, this dog's never gonna want to do agility. He's never gonna want to perform on stage. Like he was scared of everything. So in some ways, he was hard to train in that sense. But he loved agility and he loves to work. Like, so I could focus him on that. I was always petrified of a dog running into a ring with him and like spooking him. So I was always like, oh my God, if that happens,
yeah, because it traumatizes them, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So Pudsey was easy, but then also I was like 12 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
I would say Nacho is quite difficult for me now because he's nothing like I'm used to. Like he
just
is
different,
he's very different.
Yeah.
And he runs like he's got the stride of a large dog, but running medium.
Yes, yeah. So, no, I know what you mean.
I have no airtime. So I really struggle with that. He wants to work, but we're just very much still finding our way. And when it goes right, he's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we have to go right.
Yeah. But like you said, he's only 3, still very young.
He's still a baby.
He's got plenty of time.
And he wants to get it right. And he's the dog, and I've said this before to somebody that I've been training with. I always got away with Sully because we called Sully the ankle biter. He wouldn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
Or he'd always want to come back to me. Like he'd go out and do some distance, but always want to come back. And I got away with lazy training with him because I could run with him. Nacho, my not bad training, but my weaknesses are very much highlighted with Nacho because of the dog he is.
Yeah.
And how much he is away from me.
Yeah, you can't help him as much, like we said earlier. You can't.
I can't help him as much. So my training has to be better. So I don't think Nacho's been a difficult dog to train. I think I've had to become a lot better.
Yes.
Which isn't a bad thing, but it's a learning curve.
They're the dogs that teach you the most, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And when we get it together, we're going to be great. But at the moment, we're very hit and miss on things, and we need to tidy things up. And it's only the last like couple of months that I've gone, okay, I really need to brush up on my training and what it means to us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I know what you
that's a
mean.
me thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that's a me thing that I'm having to go through at the moment. And we'll get there. It's just going to take just a little bit of time.
A little bit of patience.
Yeah, exactly.
It's frustrating sometimes though, but it's part of it.
It is because I'm working harder with him than I ever have with any dog that I've ever had. So of course, when we have shows where we get nothing or no results, it's hard. Like, it's frustrating because I'm like, I've never worked this hard in my life with a dog before.
And you know what he's capable of as well.
I know. So all I have to do is get him round a course, and I know he'll be up there, but it's getting us round it at the moment, which is the hard part.
Exactly. I know how you feel.
Yeah.
For sure. Does Nacho ever do any of the performing with you, or is that just Sully?
That's just Sully. I think this is going to be Sully's last year performing. And then I don't know where I will go or what I'll do, or if I'll hang my performing shoes up. I don't know is the honest answer. I will do this. I was in two minds of doing this year with Sully, performing wise, but he still wants to do it, and he's still fit enough to do it, and he's happy. So I said, okay, we'll do one more this year, and then he'll be 13 in February. So I think he deserves his retirement. But I also strongly believe with working dogs, once you retire them fully and they just stop doing anything, I think they age so quickly because they almost like
they need a job kind of thing, don't they?
Yeah,
mentally as well.
Yeah, it's like Sully's running with one of my students. She's only 7, I think, bless her. But it's a dog for her to run that's trained and like showing her the ropes, and it's keeping Sully going, and
keeping
he
him
loves
fit.
it, and keeping him fit, and you know, it keeps him ticking along, and he thinks he's winning the world championships. So
which
he's happy.
In his head he is every single time.
In his head he is. Like this weekend at Nottingham, he'll be doing any size, and
bless him,
any size champion of the world. So they're happy together. But he really, when I retired him and stopped doing agility for a couple of months, he was really sad. Like he was really
you can
depressed.
tell, can't you? Yeah,
like he was really down, and every time I went into the car, obviously it would always be him I'd be getting out.
Yeah, you can't explain it to them either. Like you can't tell them what's going on.
Yeah, he'd be like,
tricky.
Yeah, it's me. And I'd be like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm just doing it for your own good.
Yeah, and I think there's some dogs out there that, you know, you can tell when they want to retire and they've had enough and they're like, I'm done.
Yeah, for sure.
And then there's other dogs like Sully who was so depressed, and I was like, okay, you need something to do.
Yeah, definitely. I bet a lot of training goes into the performing as well. Like, do you find it hard to balance the training for agility and then the training for the performing? Because it's like, I suppose all your tricks coming together and stuff like that, or...
Yeah, I'd say not so much now because Sully kind of knows his job, and when I'm performing, I'm moving around. So like last year I was in Northampton for Christmas. This year, I can't really say where I'm going to be, but it's not Northampton. So I can use like the same routines kind of because it's different people seeing it in different audiences, so I can be a bit lazy in that sense. But obviously if I want to carry on performing and Sully retires, I'm going to need to train another dog. So that will be hard work. There will be a lot of work going into that, but I don't know who that will be yet at the moment. So
that's to be confirmed.
Yes, when that time comes, it will be hard work. Yes.
Have you ever done any pantos or performance on your own, like just as an actor, or?
No, I haven't. But then, so what people don't realise is when I'm doing panto, 90% of the time I'm performing on my own anyway. Like Sully will do one routine and then that's him done for the whole show.
Oh, right, okay.
So I am performing on my own for the majority of the show anyway. So I've never done a whole show on my own, but yeah, I do the majority of it on my own.
Yeah. I suppose that's an option then, I guess. You could do the whole thing on your own if you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people would want to... They'd be like, where's the dog? And then start throwing like tomatoes at them or something.
Expect a dog to come out and it never does.
I'd be like, no, there's no dog. So I don't know is the honest answer. I'm going to wait until this year is done and then go from there.
Do you have any inkling that Tapas could be a performer or mainly agility?
Tapas loves his tricks. Absolutely loves it, and he's so clever. So if it was going to be out of natural Tapas, I'm leaning more towards Tapas at the moment, and nothing scares that dog. Like he's so
that is good.
bold.
That is what you want.
Yeah. The only worry I'd have is he's so black. I'm like, would anybody see him on the stage?
True. Yeah.
Like a little black dot.
Yeah, true. Bless him.
So I don't know. What I might do is this year when I'm performing is maybe take Tapas with me, and so he can get used to the environment and all of that jazz. So
he'll enjoy doing that anyway, I suppose. Going along, why not?
Exactly. So we'll see.
Exciting though. So the next one we've kind of covered. So someone says, did you teach Pudsey heel work to music before agility? Which, no, you said you taught him agility first.
Yeah.
And do you think this made agility easier already having heel work to music? But it was actually the other way round.
So I do believe trick training helps me to understand the dog's body a lot.
Yeah.
And I do think they do go hand in hand with each other. And there's things that I can see when dogs are trick training that definitely play a role in agility.
Yeah.
And I also use my trick training to warm up my dogs, even Nacho.
Yes.
I mean, Gemma was grooming for me last week, and I was warming Nacho up, and I always do his tricks first. And she was laughing because if you watch Nacho do his tricks in the warm-up, he's so bored, and he's like literally going as
he's
slow
like, just
as
let
he
me
can.
get on with it.
He's just like, oh my God, this is the boring part. But I still do it with him because it gets him moving his body. He gets him using his body.
Listening as well, I guess.
Listening, and it helps warm up. But I'm very specific on how my dogs perform certain things. So, you could say I'm a little bit neurotic about it, but
do you mean like form and stuff, like how they use their bodies for certain tricks?
Like if you take a boring spin, so getting a dog to spin in front of you, it's a pet hate of mine. I see dogs spinning, and what their owner will be like, ask them to spin, let's say clockwise, and then the dog will go straight into anti-clockwise.
Oh, okay.
And it infuriates me.
Yeah, no, I do know what you mean.
The dog's not listening. The dog's not listening. And also, two, the dog's being really lazy with its body because it's
throwing
not doing
itself
a full
around.
Spin. It's just throwing itself around, and I'm very particular. So what I'll do is I'll get the dog to stand in front of me. I'll get them to spin, but their head has got to turn first of all, so their body follows through. Because what do we want on a course? We want them to turn tight, so we need them to turn their neck and their head.
Yeah, definitely.
So I want a nice tight turn. And then one of the most important things is when they've finished that turn, they come in, they do a whole turn, and they finish straight again. Like they come in and they finish in a stand straight in front of me. And I don't want them to then go, I'm going to go do this now, and then just throw themselves into the next turn. Like they have to wait for me to tell them whether I want that side or whatever. But
yeah, that makes sense.
That's just one example. I'm very, very picky on how my dogs turn, because if I let them be lazy in turns on the ground and flat work and whatever, I mean, what's to say that they aren't going to be lazy on a course?
Yes, exactly. So, one thing spills into the next.
Exactly. So even if, like Nacho, for example, like I said, he's not going to be a trick dog, he's not going to be a performing dog, there are still certain things that I do with him that I'll do with any dog, because I'll use it to understand them, understand how they use their bodies, what are their weaknesses with their bodies, and their warm-up for their runs. So they go very hand in hand together.
And I suppose
I believe
all training as well is just getting, improving your relationship with your dog, which will help agility, and then, getting them used to learning and listening to you and stuff like that. So I guess, like you said, it's not really one way or the other. Everything goes hand in hand and helps each other.
Everything just kind of falls into each other in a nice way.
definitely.
There's some sports that I don't think go hand in hand. Like, I don't think flyball and agility go very well hand in hand. And that's from experience with my dogs and my mum's dogs. I think when we used to do flyball, obviously we want the dogs to jump flat and low. And then that's what the dogs were doing agility.
Yeah, true.
There's some dogs that I know that do both. But on a whole, it's something that I would never do with one dog.
They move very differently in flyball, don't they? Like, it's not really.
You're asking for very low jump style, and also your bounce jumping as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And to me, it's just, for me personally, I just don't think flyball and agility go with the same dog.
No,
together very well.
No, I know what you mean. Again, everyone has their different stance on that, and I suppose it's dog dependent as well. Some dogs might,
absolutely
fit better into both, or transfer from one to the other better, and then others it'll be chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very dog dependent as well. But yeah, for me personally, it's just something I don't think I would do.
And then I think we've covered this one as well. Do you do any heel work to music with Sully and Nacho? So obviously you do with Sully because he performs, but then Nacho, no, agility dog.
Nacho is not interested at all. Like, I'll do it in the house and he'll do it, but if you asked him agility or heel work to music, agility is winning every single time. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. So yeah, he just does tricks just for warm up and a bit of fun if we're having a boring day.
Would you say Sully preferred his agility over his tricks and heel work to music, or?
I would say yes, but it's not like Nacho. It's very clear with Nacho, he wants to do agility. Yeah. Whereas with Sully, I think Sully was like, yeah, I'm working. So he's like, oh,
yeah, no matter what the work is.
So I'm happy.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm doing something, so I'm happy. They're two very different things, though. And I think now he likes his trick training even more because obviously he doesn't do agility very much. So he's like, yeah, so he's like,
oh, really something, Give me
exactly.
anything.
Like at Christmas just gone, there were no shows that he like some shows I can tell he's like tired or he's a bit over it or he's a bit bored, so I have to change the routine. That show, he was just like, he's just like, let's do it. Every show's like, I enjoy this. So no, he was very much, as long as he's working, he's happy.
Yeah. Do you find that Nacho, like, for example, when we have our, 4 or 5 days of agility in a row or whatever, is he just go constantly? Does he get bored or does he just want to keep going as long as he'll go?
He wants to keep going. I've really battled with, so I'm a strong believer in every dog only has a certain amount of runs.
Yes.
And I've always believed that. And I've never had to train a dog as much as I have had to train with Nacho. And that's because of the dog that he is. He's very, you look at him and you're like, oh, he's cute, fluffy. But actually, under there, he's very much a working dog.
Yeah, definitely.
And if I don't keep up with his training, and when I say training, sometimes it can literally be 5 minutes in the garden, but he needs to do something because, like with Sully, for example, I'd be able to go a week without training him and then run him at a show and he'd still run great.
Yeah.
Nacho explodes.
Arrow is exactly the same. Like when they say even on GB about, not doing as much, a few weeks before, I'm like, no, sorry, I have to keep, I'm going to have to keep competing him.
Otherwise they just explode.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe that's just an age thing with Nacho. I don't know at this moment. I mean, he's still young. So maybe the older he gets, I might drop it off and he might not need to train so hard. But I found that difficult for me because I've never had to do it before. And
you almost feel like you're doing too much at some point because you don't normally.
I know. So I almost feel like, oh my God, am I doing too much? Like at WAO, he was only in games. So he was only running he had one run on Thursday and then he had one run on Saturday. But they have a training area and every day I was putting him on the training area, even if it was 5-10 minutes, but it was to just do something with him because he would have exploded 1000%.
I always like the practice jumps as well. When I see a practice jump at something, I'm like, yes, because then I can get that initial crazy out, and it's way better when we actually start.
I feel very strongly about practice jumps, and I do believe if we had more practice jumps, we would have less injuries in our dogs.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're warmer and they're more prepared for their run.
And it encourages people to warm their dogs up who might not think to otherwise, I think, as well. Because some people you do see just go straight into it, even with themselves. I always have to do it. I mean, I'm injury prone, so I do it anyway. But sometimes I just think I'd snap in half for a start, and I think Arrow would as well. Like,
I know. I find warming up so boring for both me and the dog, but it's something that I am very passionate about, and I do also believe that warm up is so important, not only for the obvious of warming our dogs up for an agility course, but also it helps you just to get that bond and that connection
feel connected
before you run. It's
definitely.
like a routine. I know,
it is,
it's like a routine that we do, and Nacho knows, right, to begin with, we walk around a bit, then we do tricks, and then we start playing with a toy, and it's like a whole thing.
I even do my tricks in the same order, like not even on purpose anymore, it's just built into you.
So do I think it's just a habit thing now, and we've got our routine, and I do like a bit of a routine, so
it helps mentally though as well, doesn't it? Like get you into the zone.
It does. And I feel like the other side of it is, though, if you don't do that routine because of things that you can't control, let's say 10 people have dropped out a champ in front of you.
Good point, actually,
you've lost that routine, then you could argue, having that routine and that set routine isn't so good for you. Like, does that affect your run?
I suppose, but that's less likely, I feel like, to happen than just having it go normally.
At some point it will happen. It's like, do you know, it keeps happening to me recently. It happened to us at EO, when we were about to run our team agility, and the ring went to a standstill for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I remember that. Not great.
So that happened, and I'd done all my warm up. That happened. Then at Vine, we had to. It was us two again. You were about to.
I was going to say, I'm there. Yeah.
I was behind you, and we had to stop again.
Yeah, I was on the start line.
It happened. I know, it happened to me at WAO. Literally.
Oh, really?
Just about to step onto the start line, and the timing went. And before that, the tyre was at the wrong height. So I don't know why it keeps happening.
The tyre as well, like that happened at Vine, and
I know.
Wow.
3 times it's happened to me at big events, or like a champ final or whatever. It keeps happening to me.
That's crazy.
And I had to warm up Nacho up at WAO 3 times. I had to do it 3 times because.
And then you're knackered because you're like, I've just done 3 warm-up routines of 10 minutes, so that's like half an hour extra.
Yeah, and then he did explode, but I think it was a bit of me as well, because I'd lost that routine and that
headspace,
that concentration and headspace and whatever. So you could argue it's not always a good thing, but like you said, 9 times out of 10
it is
a good thing.
Yeah, no, that is very true. So have we already covered how are Sully and Nacho different to train on handle? We haven't really covered them two kind of side by side.
So Sully was my comfy slippers, and like I said, he pretty much just ran with me.
Yeah.
He did do some distance because he won game. He was a games world champion at WAO, so and he had to do a distance gamble then. So he did do distance, but most of the time he was with me.
Yeah.
And he was a very tight turning dog. He was always tight when he ran. I'd have to kick him round like push rounds and stuff like that. I wouldn't want to go out.
Literally block the face side with yourself.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, get over there.
Good footwork drills.
Yeah, but I just loved running that boy. I loved stepping onto the line, and it'd be barking and be like, what? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, he's ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was ready. I'd be like, yeah. But he also rose to an occasion. He loved to feel the pressure, which when he was younger, I didn't think he would. I thought it would be an issue for him, but actually it was the opposite. He rose to it.
Came out of shell.
Yeah, like he was like, yeah, everyone's here for me. And I could also, and this could go back to, obviously, when I was running Sully and his age, we transitioned from old school, and we went through the transition of like blinds and stuff. And there were still some things with him that I never felt confident doing because, well, when I trained him initially, we just didn't do it.
Yeah, it's getting out of that habit, isn't it?
it was getting out of that habit. So there were still things there that, like a threadle wrap. He did a threadle wrap, but I had to manage it a lot and things like that. But that
wasn't
again,
a thing when you started training him.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons I retired him when he did. There was 2 reasons. One, I didn't want him to retire on an injury. Because he's so fine. He's only 6 kilograms, so he's tiny underneath that head. Yeah, he's so light. And the second one was the courses and the layering and the distance and the skills we just didn't have.
Yeah.
Because of his age. So he could have carried on. Like, he definitely could have carried on. I also wanted him to finish while he looked really good. Like, I wanted people to still be like, he looks incredible, not always starting to look his age.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree.
So, yeah, he was my comfy slippers. And also, I could have 2 gears with Sully. So we could run for clear and just get round. We could do that. And then we could also kick it up a notch and run hell for leather because it's a final.
Yeah.
So I had those 2.
Yeah, even like team and individual mode kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. He was very good at that. Nacho, on the other hand, doesn't have that. Maybe he will one day, but right now we have 1 gear, and that is it.
The highest one.
I've never wound him up. Like with Sully again, if I wanted him to run like flat out, I'd be like winding him up and he'd know and he'd be like, oh yeah, like this is it. Like,
yeah, we're going.
Whereas Nacho, I've never
He's
done
going
that.
anyway.
I've never wound him up. It's more about taking energy out of him and keeping him calm. And
it's quite a switch, isn't it? Going from a dog that needs egging on to then a dog that needs chilling out. Like, it's weird.
Yes. It's hard, and that's I'm still figuring out what to do and how to do it, and like I said, how much training he needs and all of that. Like, it's still a learning thing for me.
Did you have a period of running both of them, like at the same show or in the same class? Probably not the same class. I can't remember when.
They weren't in the same class. So when Nacho came out, Sully was in his last competing year.
Oh, right, okay. So you did have shows where you'd go from one to the other?
No, God, no. And that is one of the reasons... Again, one of the reasons I stopped running Sully, because it was getting to a point where I was like, they are worlds apart. Like, they're so different.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. So you stopped. Like, you made sure that didn't happen.
Yeah, I was kind of like, right, Sully's done what he's done. He owes me nothing, and the courses are changing. And he's 11 years old. So I was like, look, it's the right decision to make. Trust me. I would love to have carried on running him because he's my comfy slippers, and he probably still could have won a champ ticket and got in singles and whatever. Yeah. But I made that decision to not be selfish.
Yes,
to then also focus on Nacho. And I knew I'd have a year. I knew I'd have a year of not doing very much like I did last year. Obviously, I was lucky that we had GB and the development team.
Yes, definitely.
But apart from that, I didn't really do anything last year. Didn't qualify for cross this year. And I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. At least you're expecting it, I suppose. It's like accepting it, isn't it?
Well, it's being realistic.
Yes, exactly.
Of knowing where you are as a partnership and what you've got and what you can achieve. So I knew that was going to happen. And I made the decision to do it. And don't get me wrong, I think it's helped. But we're still not where I want me and Nacho to be. It will happen.
Definitely,
I think it's just going to take a little bit more time with him.
They're all different, aren't they?
Yeah, and he's so fast, and it happens literally like that. So yeah, I think the biggest difference between the 2 of them is I could run safely with Sully and get him round if I needed to.
Yeah, don't have that option now.
True. I don't have that at the moment of playing it safe. No. I don't, like I said, I might have it, I might never have it, but right now I definitely don't have it.
I don't know if you find this as well, but I find if I try and play it safe or be careful, it goes worse. Do you know what I mean? It's like you kind of have to just run with it when they're like that.
It's like our runs at the moment, he explodes off the start line. And if we're going to have a fault, most of the time it's at the beginning of the course because he's just gone, wah!
Yeah, it calms down a bit through the run, potentially.
Yeah, well, it's because we've messed up, so I can reset. And he goes, oh, I messed up there. And then he goes, okay, now I'm chill.
Yeah,
and then it's fine. What I've struggled with him as well is once it starts going wrong, normally I struggle to save it.
Yes, yeah.
It's got slightly better recently, but that was a big problem.
When it goes wrong, it goes wrong kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I might as well just leave.
Yeah.
But we're slowly getting better.
Absolutely.
So, and we're only in May. We've got the whole season ahead of us.
Exactly.
Who knows what will happen.
Although saying that, I can't believe it is already May.
I know, it's scary. I can't believe WAO's over and now we're thinking about GB.
Yeah, well, I still, when I think of EO, I'm like, oh, it's in the summer, etc. And then I'm like, wait, it's like not that long at all, is it?
7 weeks.
I was going to say, I like leave soon,
that's going to go. Yeah, that's going to go so... Like, the next 2 weeks for me are mad. We have Nottingham... And then I'm working loads, and then we have Hinkley, and I'm like,
yeah, I was going to say Hinkley,
It's mad.
Yeah.
So, and then Thames, and then it's like, never ending.
Literally. But it's fine. We love it, really. Stresses us out, but we love
secretly,
it.
deep down, love it. But sometimes I think, Jesus, once we start, I'm like, that's it.
Yeah, what's a weekend? What's like a weekend off? Like, what is that?
I know. I was like, I want to go on holiday. And then looked at my diary and was like, well, that's not happening until like September.
No, holiday is EO.
Yeah, that's it. Woo.
Yeah, going to Portugal, but like, you know, not going to be doing a lot of sitting on the beaches. Yeah.
Exactly. Be stressed, nervous, running in God knows how hot heat.
Oh my God, yeah. Having naps through the middle of the day when they're stopping the competition.
I know. It's that Portugal is going to be like an endurance test.
Yeah, it is.
How can you run with as little sleep as possible, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. How can you who can run the best where they're feeling like shit, basically?
Yeah. So basically what I think the best prep for that is every weekend get really drunk and then run hungover.
That is a great idea.
And by the time you get to Portugal, you'll be so used to running, like feeling like crap.
Yeah, so when you're actually sober, you'll actually feel great. You'll be like, agility hasn't felt this good in months.
I'm alive.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I mean, I guess that's quite easy to do at Thames.
Yeah, definitely.
To be honest, that's kind of setting us up for it.
That would be good. Yeah, that would be good EO prep. There you go.
Yeah. And I think medium is on the Sunday again, isn't it? It usually is.
Oh, it always is.
Yeah, it always is. I'm like, will it ever change? But I don't think it will.
No, because we've been trying to change that for years and it never has. So
it should rotate, shouldn't it? Year by year, I think. You know,
I think
be fair.
It should, but then the large handlers will kick up a fuss. So.
Good point. I forgot about them.
Yeah, I know.
Oh well. Random, actually. Did Sully have running dog walk? He didn't, did he?
He did.
Oh, he did have running dog walk.
Because he had a stop, and then Crofts 2020, just before lockdown, we lost the championship because in the final he missed his dog walk. And then we went into lockdown, and I went, well, this is the perfect time. So I retrained his dog walk.
I was going to say, I remember seeing him doing a stop quite a bit in like Crufts and stuff, and still obviously winning. But
yeah. So I retrained him to a stop. Now, don't get me wrong, it was never the greatest stop. And I worked out, I figured out along the line somewhere that he has his best dog walks when I'd just shout go the whole time. I'd be like, go.
Get that momentum. Carries him down, doesn't it?
Just be like, he did eventually have a running dog walk. And for a retrain, it wasn't too bad, to be fair. But he didn't have turns or anything like that off it. It was just like, we've got to run here.
Yeah,
or like,
exactly.
If we had a turn off of it, I'd have to like let him run and then at the last second be like, no, come here.
That's what I have to do still, because I tried doing turns with Arrow and it messed up his straight because he's so sensitive. It just made him, he was like, he overthought the straight then and his stride was too short and he pinged it. It's tricky.
With Nacho, I look, do I have turns? Do I really know that he knows his turns? Who knows? I think he does. And actually, I think it helped him with learning and understanding. But I also see with sensitive dogs how it could also mess up their straights, because I think I tried with Sully, and he was really sensitive.
Yeah.
And I think, like you, it just didn't work. So I was like, right, let's just stick with straights.
And it's again thinking like 99% of the time they're straight exits. Like the turns.
Exactly.
If you get a turn in a champ final one day, it's just not meant to be. Like that's not your one. Do you know what I mean? That's what I try and think. I'm like, I can cope with that as long as most of them are straights.
And they are nowadays, aren't they? So
exactly.
You very rarely get turns off of a dog walk. So yeah, I think just roll with it. Yeah. Like I did with Sully.
Yeah. Next dog, I'll definitely do turns sooner and not let it get to the point where it messes them up. But we all learn, don't we?
Yeah. With Nacho, I trained his turns. So as soon as he went on to full height dog walk, I then started doing turns with him.
Yeah.
And I didn't do loads, but I did do enough for him to know what it was, type thing. Yeah. But I did it soon. I did it quite early.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that made a difference.
For sure. So moving on to Tapas then. So what made you want a poodle before you got Tapas?
So people are shocked that I've got a poodle. But Sully has poodle in him.
It actually makes so much sense.
Half poodle, but everyone was shocked when I got a poodle, and I was like, well, I don't like Shelties and I don't like Spaniels, and I want a small dog next. So what else is there? So it was a poodle, but it did take me a long time to find him, and I am quickly learning the difference between Nacho and having that half-working breed and then a full poodle. I've never had such a stubborn dog and puppy in my life. Like, don't get me wrong, he's cool and he loves to learn, and, you know, he's got a cool toy drive. Can I get him to bring that toy back to me? No, I cannot. Once he's got that toy, he will like look at me and then literally put his middle finger up at me.
Yeah, that's mine now.
Yeah. So I'm definitely learning.
Yes, for sure.
About him and poodles and characteristics and whatever else. And it's really interesting, like I said, to see what the poodle side is in Nacho and what the collie side is. And
you can kind of tell Nacho's the difference more.
Yeah, Nacho's an angel and he would never do that.
Yeah.
Nacho's my angel dog and he's so well behaved, apart from in a jersey. He can be a bit tricky, but in everyday life he is like a 12-year-old dog sometimes, and he's like, nope, he's Mr. Perfect. Whereas Tapas is like,
does what he wants.
Yeah, he does, and I would like to say I'm a dog trainer in terms of like I'm firm but fair with my dogs.
Yes,
I'm very like black and white. You know, my dogs know when they've done wrong. But with Tapas, I've just had to kind of just let him do what he wants, and I found that quite difficult actually. And it's only recently I've started like bringing in rules with him, like you know, you sit and wait to come in, or through the door, or through a gate, and stuff like that. So we're just starting to go through bringing in rules and things like that. But yeah, he's very testing at the moment.
Yes. How old is he now?
6.5 months.
Oh, what a fun age.
Yeah, he's really at that stage where I'm like, sometimes I want to strangle him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I can't, you know, come
Not
down on
allowed.
him too hard.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, there's certain things. Like last night, he wouldn't come in because he had a stone in his mouth.
Oh.
He wouldn't come in at 11 o'clock at night. And when he did come in, he had a bit of a telling off for that. And I was like, no, you don't do that.
Yeah, not when I want to go to bed, especially.
Exactly. And a stone, I was like, and it was a big stone, I was like, you're going to die if you swallow that.
Yeah, that panic.
But it's a learning curve. And with every dog that you have, it's like, yeah, you give and take. And it's the same with agility. You let them have a bit so they build their confidence, and then you rein them back in.
Yes.
And then you give them a bit and then you rein them back in. Yeah. So it's like a give and take game. And that's where we're at the moment.
I had that hugely with Arrow. Like everything was let go when he was little because he would barely run. He was so scared. So I was like, just don't even bother doing things right. Just run. Do you know what I mean?
Just run.
And then he finally got his confidence, and then I was like, oh, now I've got to like go back and reinforce all the criteria and all that. But you just got to work with the dog you've got, haven't you?
I know, and that's why I'm with Tapas at the moment. Like I said, when I first got him, I let him run around the house, and I was like, yeah, be free and do what you want, and like, you want to go get my shoes? Yeah, go get my shoes, like, woohoo! And now I'm like, okay, rules need to be brought.
And it's like, you're still doing it now. Yeah, can't do that anymore.
Yeah, and he'll run away with stuff, and I'm like, okay, now we need to start reining in a little bit.
I suppose now as well, with him being a full breed, you can think about AWC in the future, because obviously yours have been crossbreeds, haven't they?
I know. I mean, 25 years of agility, and I've never been able to do well.
Yeah, that's it. Now there's the possibility.
I do have it's not, I wouldn't say it's a curse, but the pedigree dogs that I've had, so I had a Pyrenean Zula, and she hated my other dogs. She didn't enjoy agility. She didn't particularly like me, and she hated traveling. So for agility didn't work out.
No, absolutely not.
Vi, my collie, I adore that dog, and he adores me, sometimes too much. But when it comes to agility, he cares too much about me, and he's just like, he's so sensitive, and one thing happens, like he has a pole down, and then I might as well leave, because the rest of it, he'll be like, oh my God. Like,
really throws him off.
Yeah, so now he's running with one of my students, and he's like a different dog with her, because there's not that care from him. Like with me, when I was running him, he cared too much about what I thought. Even like, I'd never tell him off because he was so sensitive. So I'd be like, and I taught him if we went wrong to bark, like, bark.
Okay, just keep his spirits up, kind of thing.
Just to be like, like, come on. And now he does that with Isabella, and I'm like, oh God, I think
she's just like,
he's like literally jumping at her, and like I taught him all these things, like, if you want the toy, come and hit me, because he'd be sensitive about the toy, and he'd come in, and now obviously he's bowling
over children.
He's literally bowling over. And poor Isabella last week came to me, she was like, look at my legs.
Oh, bless her.
All bruised and everything. And I'm like,
sorry.
Well, you won't believe it, but when he was younger, he was really sensitive, so I had to teach him to be like that. And now he's knocking over children. So I'm like, oh God.
How's he running now? Has he found a bit of confidence? And
he has. And like with me, he would never have achieved what he has with Isabella this year. Like, he ran for England at WAO. He's got on the GB junior team. Like with me, he was never going to do that. And you can see he enjoys running with her, and he tries hard with her, like really hard. But also there's that pushiness from him as well. Yeah. And there's that pushy side. He's not sensitive, and he's not thinking too much about poles and all of that jazz. And I think he's so much happier now. And yeah, I mean, people probably wouldn't agree with it. They'd be like, oh, you've given up your dog. And I haven't. He lives with me and everything. He just runs with her. And he's happy now. So
again, everything, every decision you make is always going to be with the dog's best interest at heart. So no one can do you know what I mean? That's obviously always going to be the main thing. You
can never, if somebody wanted to have a conversation about it or whatever, like, please do, because for me and my dogs, it's like Eliza was never mine. She was my mum's dog, but I took her over. And then Charlotte, I just train dogs for juniors. I think. That's what I just do. And then Charlotte started running her because she needed a dog, and and now look at all the things that I was going to say. They've done absolutely phenomenal, haven't they? Yeah, like agility champion and all of that, and I knew it's always about my dog and the best interest. Like at the time, I was running Eliza, I was running Sully, I was running Zula, I was running Scarlet, the Malinois. So I was running all these dogs, and each dog wasn't getting what they needed. So that's when I decided, Charlotte can start, trying to run her, and the rest is history. So I think the fact that you are, willing to give your dogs to other people to run shows that you're doing it for them and not yourself. Because if you were doing it for yourself, you'd want them to yourself to run. Do you know what I mean? To achieve things with. Don't get me wrong. Like Eliza, she won a ticket with my mum, then she won a ticket with me. Like, she needed one more ticket. I could have easily have carried on running her and being like, look at me, I've made another agility champion. And she could have got to cross every year with me and stuff like that. But then I just saw an opportunity, and And now Eliza lives, and she sleeps on Charlotte's bed, and she would never do that here. And she gets treated like a queen, that dog.
Yeah.
So,
like the queen she is.
Yeah, the decisions I make is for the best for me, for my dogs, and for, my students sometimes. But yeah, moral of the story is clearly I just train dogs for juniors.
Yeah.
So,
the success of the YKC is on you.
It's on me now. So you're welcome.
That's the moral of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I never got to win Agility Dog of the Year, so maybe one year I'll train a dog that actually does get to win Agility Dog of the Year. So
there you go. Plan in action.
Exactly.
So again, we kind of covered this, but how do you balance your theatre work with teaching agility? So you said the theatre work is like not like regular like agility is. So I suppose when you're doing that.
So agility, I teach every week. I have my regulars. I do some workshop teaching as well. So that's my like day-to-day normal life. And then I do my theatre work. Now, what I think one of the biggest problems and why I had such a terrible GB tryouts is because my panto, I don't see Nacho for 5 weeks before we go into the GB tryouts. Then we have 4 weeks, and then we're in. And as I said, Nacho's a dog that needs training.
Yes.
So when it's great that he has 5 weeks off, and I love that he has 5 weeks off, but I just wish it wasn't before GB tryouts.
I was going to say, that's like the worst possible timing.
Yes. So the period where I should be starting to like really start building up and whatever, I don't get to do that. That is hard. And I think this year I need to come up with a better plan. Whether that's like on my day off, coming home and training him or whatever. That's just something that I need to plan and prepare for better.
So you find
and that's another thing.
You find it harder, balancing your competing and training with the panto work than, say, like this question says, the panto with the teaching. Like that's not as much of an issue as it is. Yeah, you just have the time off the teaching when you have a panto.
I say to my students, I'm not here for 5 weeks.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not
okay.
here for 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's it. It's more the competing side of it, and especially the GB and the prepping for it.
Yes, definitely.
That's where my big struggle is. And again, that's the difference between Sully and Nacho. Sully
you would have been fine,
do that. Yeah. Whereas Nacho clearly we cannot do that. So that was a learning curve. The trial's just gone. And that's something that I have to factor into my plan and schedule this year going on next year's trials.
Yeah, because you've had some really cool results and runs with him lately, haven't you, Nacho? Since tryout. So again, it's proof that because you're training now and you're competing regularly,
I know
that's what happens.
I think, I think we're just settling into it more now and better and. He clearly needs more time to settle into it and get in a safe and comfortable place. Now, again, that might be an age thing. That might be a thing that's always going to happen. I don't know until we do it. But
exactly.
What I do know is I need to do something different this year.
Yeah.
So that is something that I've got to plan better.
Yeah. There'll be a way around it for sure.
Yeah, I just won't have a day off, basically.
Yeah, that's it. But it's fine. As we said earlier, you're used to that, I guess.
Exactly. So I'll just get on with it. Like, there's no other way, is there?
No, that's it.
I'll just have to get on with it and just do it. But it's filling me with a tiny bit of dread.
Yeah,
but
you'll get through it.
Yeah.
So, what is the biggest challenge you faced during your agility career, and how did you overcome it? That's a big one.
That is a big one. I've had a couple of injuries. I mean, I did the ligaments in my ankle twice.
Oh, really?
In like a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
when was that?
Like a year. One of them I was lucky because it was in lockdown, but like coming out of lockdown.
Okay.
So it wasn't too bad. And then it was just getting good again. And then I did it again in training.
Same ankle, same injury?
Same one. I think I didn't strengthen it enough, and I did it in training, literally running down a straight line, went, and now I was on the floor like, ah.
How did you do it the first time? Was it also in agility?
No, it wasn't. It was walking the dogs in the woods, and I trod on a branch, and then my ankle went.
Ow.
Yeah. Stupid. And now I'll
it's
always
typical, isn't it? It's doing something so slow and simple, and then in agility it's fine.
I know, and it was annoying, but the problem I have, and the reason why I fall over so much, is my ankle. I'm very bendy and flexible because I have weak ligaments. So my ankles are always going, always going. Hence why I fall over so much. But
I love the videos you put on though. It's so funny.
I mean, you won't have to laugh about these things,
exactly.
Don't you? But,
entertaining the whole agility community at the same time. So.
I know. I can only laugh. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's frustrating. Last year, one of my hardest balls that I really struggled to get over was I was literally winning the win on spot for WAO in hustle, and all I had to do was not get eliminated. Just don't get eliminated. I could have faults, don't get eliminated. And she went to cut in on a jump, and I pushed her out, and then literally landed on the wing and obviously got eliminated. That was a hard one.
That hurts. That's a tough one.
That one was a hard one for me, because I was like, everyone's laughing, and I'm like...
But at the same time, like, you know what could have happened otherwise?
But yeah, I mean, I've just lost the win on spot there, so that was a tough one.
That's hard.
I think we all have, like, at the weekend at Vine, Nat had a pole down in the champ.
Yep, in the final.
In the final. But, you know, could have won a champ ticket. And I think we all have, I mean, at the moment I'm going through a lot of them with Nacho.
Yeah.
A lot of them. DD tryouts I really struggled with, because we were rubbish, but it was always like one thing, and then the rest would be great.
Yeah.
And our results wise look utter rubbish on paper.
But without actually seeing the run, like the run was still probably quite a solid run. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. But it was like one bit. And I really struggled on the second weekend of GB trials. There was a point I nearly went home, because I was just like, I really struggled with GB trials. The second weekend more than the first weekend. I think because the first weekend, if you have a bad weekend, you're like, oh, it's okay because I've got the second weekend.
Yeah, and you've got that period to like train and stuff.
Like train.
Yeah.
Whereas the second weekend, we had elimination on like jump 3.
Oh no.
On the first run.
Yeah. That's hard.
I was just like, I found that really hard, because I'd worked so hard between the first and second tries, because I was like, right, I need to knuckle down now, and I need to whatever. And for then that to happen, and I was like,
great. Yeah.
I shed a few tears that weekend, more like frustration, more than anything, and more like, I know what Nacho can achieve, and I know how great he can be, but it just wasn't happening.
Yes, definitely.
And I think that's what I found hard. And I think what makes someone good is how you can pick yourself up.
100%. It's the hardest part of agility, 100%.
It really is. It is hard, because if you're an athlete, you're not running with an animal, it's just you have to like worry about.
Yeah, you're in control, aren't you, pretty much?
Yeah, you're in control. Whereas like, if you have to pick yourself up from agility, you have to pick yourself up, but then you look at your dog and you're like, can you like help a little bit here?
Yeah,
can you,
exactly. Yeah.
So I think we all go through bad patches or whatever, but it's how you come out of that that's really important. And you can be negative about it and and whatever else, but there's no point. Like, you've got to...
It just makes it worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Especially at an event where you have more runs that day or that weekend. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's hard. And I think that's... Running for GB, that's really difficult of like... You've had a bad morning run and then you've still got your afternoon run to go, and you've got to like get yourself together. And that's not easy sometimes.
No, because it knocks your confidence, doesn't it? And then you go into the next one feeling worse about yourself and your dog, and then it's never going to go well if you think like that.
Doubting yourselves. So it's like you need to like do whatever you have to do to like push it that first run aside or second run, whatever. You need to like let it go, basically.
Definitely.
And that's not easy. It's not
easy. At all.
And I've been there, and I've done it myself or I haven't, and it's just had a knock-on effects like dominoes.
Yeah, honestly, so hard.
But I think that's where experience comes in again. And I think that's just something that you learn as you go along.
Coming back from the injuries as well, always hard, because obviously you had it with your ankle, you're worrying about it happening again, and then you can't focus on, I feel like coming back from any kind of setback, whether that's just a bad run or an injury or like you said, 5 weeks where you haven't trained, is actually the hardest part.
It is. And I think, when you've been injured, you're so worried about re-injuring it, and that's all you can think about back of your head. And that's all you can think about, and that's in the back of your head, and it's taken me time where I'm not thinking about my ankle or whatever. Like, I don't think about it now. It's not even a thing. Yeah. But there was quite a while where I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't want to turn there or whatever, because I'm scared my ankle's going to give way.
I was exactly the same when I got the stress fracture in my foot last year, and I had 6 months of doing nothing, and then GB trials was the first thing that I was coming back for. And you're running, and you're thinking, you're just like, you're too careful, because it's like trauma, isn't it? You're like traumatized.
In the back of your head, like you're trying to think, right, just let it go, but then in the back of your head there's this voice that's like, it could go again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you're just constantly thinking about how it's feeling all the time, and horrible.
Yeah. Or if it's aching or whatever else, and you're like, oh God.
Exactly. And then trying not to walk around too much in between runs because of it, and not walk the course too much because of it.
I know, I've been there, but injuries. But then I'm always like, I'd much rather injure myself than my dog's getting injured. So
exactly. Yeah. No, that's so true. So true. So what is one thing you love and one thing you would like to change about agility? So agility in general as a sport, I suppose.
One thing I love is just that feeling of running with your dog, and when it goes well, not when it goes bad.
Yeah, obviously.
But I think there's no other feeling like it, and I think that's why all these years, and after trying all the different like sports and disciplines, I've always come back to agility, because I don't think there's any other feeling like it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like with agility, you have to be a team. Like there's no doubt about it. Like you have to be a team together, and you have to be connected. So I think that's what I love about agility, is that you have to be one.
Yeah.
And when you do those runs where it either means something, or it was important, or you didn't, or if it was a hard course and you didn't think you were going to get round, and then you smash it.
Unbeatable feeling.
I love that feeling. Yeah, there's no other feeling.
And I think that's what gets us through the shows and the days that go horribly wrong, because that's such an awful feeling. That's like the other extreme of it. But then we come back the next weekend because we're like, but this time it might be that amazing feeling. It's like addictive, isn't it?
You're always chasing that high.
Yes.
You're always chasing that high. And that's why we do GB and WAO and stuff like that, because we're always chasing that high, and that adrenaline rush, and that feeling of when it goes right, and it, you've achieved, something. And of course I love my dogs, and my dogs are my pets and whatever. But at the end of the day, I want to compete, and I want to win with them, and I want to show how incredible they are, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think
not at all. And at the end of the day, if you just wanted to do it for fun, you would just train, because competing is
and there's
also
nothing wrong with that.
That's absolutely fine. But also, like, competing is time consuming and expensive, so it's fine to admit, I'm competitive and I want to win. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. I'd just be training, which is fine for people who don't want to compete. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I it's almost getting that recognition of all the hard work and the hours and the driving and the stress and the
feels all worth it.
All the bad runs. Like, has paid off.
Yeah.
And you know, that's important to me. But also it's recognizing how amazing my dogs are as well.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So I would say that's what I love. What I would change about agility. Oh,
tricky one, isn't it?
It is a tricky one because there's quite a lot. But
yeah.
I would say the moaning.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
The moaning, and I just feel like no one's ever happy in the moment. Like,
yeah, there's always something, isn't there? I don't know.
Yeah, there's always, like, walking a course, there will always be somebody not happy.
Yeah.
Like, someone won't be happy about it. And like I said earlier, that never used to be the way. No. Like, we used to just walk a course and be like, okay, this is the course, and we just do it.
Especially with judges these days, like, you know, like, some judges, especially junior ones, you know, can take it really hard with all the moaning, and it puts people off the sport, I think. Well, our sport is only growing and it's getting bigger and bigger, and we need more judges. But if people keep pissing them off, then, we won't have any. Yeah, we won't have any judges. Yeah. So, you know, and there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's how you put it and how people talk to each other. It's not what you say; it's how you say it. Yeah, or they don't even talk and they write it. I call it AgriNet, but agility net. They write it all over there, and I'm like, if you guys just had a adult, sensible conversation with these people, then, you know, instead of resorting to Facebook. Yeah, I know, and the moaning, the complaining, I think that side of it has got much worse. Yeah, much worse, really is. Yeah, and people just need to chill out a bit. Yeah, pretty much. It's remembering as well, I always like to say. You just need to have some fun. Yeah. Like, it's remembering as well what it is. It's like a game, and it's plastic sticks, and it's like, do you know what I mean? We are running round a muddy field with our dogs. Yeah. And I am one of the most competitive people, and I want to win, and I, you know, want to be the best that I can possibly be. Yes. But, and I think this is where I'm lucky, because my life isn't all about agility. My life isn't just about agility and competing in agility. I get to come away from that, and I think it keeps me sane sometimes. That helps, because there's more to life. God, there's so much more to life. Yeah, absolutely. And I get to come away from that for however long. And I do think that makes a big difference. Like, when I do panto, I don't think of agility. I don't think about agility. Yeah. Like, I am in that world, and that is it. It's like an escape. And I'm very much... Yeah, it is, and it's lovely. And I do think sometimes people need to remember that there's more to life than agility. Yeah, and definitely. It is very easy to get sucked into that, you know, mindset. Yeah, but yeah, it's just kind of checking yourself. Oh yeah, same. It's checking yourself, realising when it's happening. Yeah, absolutely. And we just need to chill out a bit. Yeah. Have a bit of fun. Yeah, just calm down, everyone. Be careful on how we talk to people. Yeah. And think what before we say, voicing. Think before you say. And that's not just to judges, that's to other competitors as well. Let's just absolutely. Think about what we're saying before we say it. Yeah. And how it's going to make people feel. Period. That's what I would say. Absolutely. So what is your favourite agility event and why? So I suppose this could be kind of shows in the UK or abroad, I guess both. I would say I do love WAO. I love WAO. I love it because we get to compete abroad against some of the best in the world, but I feel like there's just that slight less pressure than GB. I feel like GB, I can't really say I always enjoy running GB. I think because there's so much pressure, and that's pressure I put on myself as well. But with WAO, I just really enjoy the event. Yeah, as a whole.
as a whole. And like this year I didn't do anything, like I got no results or anything, but I still had a great time.
Yes, yeah.
Like I still
and enjoyed your runs.
Loved it and enjoyed it and enjoyed the event, and I love that there's games and there's something different there.
Yes, exactly.
Like, the events are different. I love gamblers. I love, even if I'm not in gamblers, I love watching gamblers. Like I get so excited for it.
Yeah.
And it's just different.
Yeah.
And it's just different from the norm.
Yes.
So I would definitely say WAO or Crufts. I love Crufts. I love running at Crufts. But that's for more the celebration of dogs, because everyone is there because they love dogs.
Yes, true.
And they get it.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously we have it's for the public, like the event is for the public, but they still appreciate what we're doing with our dogs.
Yeah, they're all there for the same reasons.
Exactly. Like most people, if you said Crufts or Olympia, they'd choose Olympia.
Yeah.
And I love Olympia, don't get me wrong. But for me, I'd say Crufts, just because everyone is there for the dogs.
Yeah, like, whereas I suppose Olympia, the horses are the main event, aren't they?
Well, yeah, we're kind of just like the joke act. Olympia, like not the joke act, but the halftime entertainment.
I was gonna say, putting something when they wouldn't have any other entertainment.
Exactly. So for me, either WAO because of the different events, and I just love the show. Yeah. And then Crufts for the atmosphere, and just being part of something all about dogs.
What about just your general show in the UK, like weekend by weekend?
I would say my favourite show.
And there's a lot to choose from.
There is a hell of a lot to choose from, and I'm just trying to think of the next shows coming up. And I'm like, do I enjoy any of them?
Yeah.
How bad is that? I do love CSJ Open.
That's got WO vibes, I think, from... I've never been to either, but from the looks of it.
It is like a mini WAO, really.
Yeah.
I do love CSJ Open. It's on sand. And again, just the different events. I just enjoy it. I think when you've been doing agility as long as I have, I just like the differentness about it.
Yeah.
Champ shows. Oh God, I'm trying to think what my favourite champ show is.
It is quite hard as well to choose one, because if it was just one all the time, it wouldn't be the same.
God, there's so many.
What I mean? So yeah, that's it.
I do enjoy going to Scotland for a champ show, mainly because it's just smaller, and everyone seems happier up there. I don't know why.
Right, okay.
They just seem happier.
Interesting. Good vibes up there. The air, something in the air.
Yeah. I don't know why. I do enjoy a Scottish show. Like, I enjoyed East Lothian when I did it. The ground was really nice there as well.
I'm yet to venture up there for a champ show. It's going to have to happen soon, I think.
Yeah, I'm a bit mad. I've been there a few times. But
I'm scared to go all that way and then get E'd in the first run.
Well, there is that. There is that risk. But it doesn't matter, though, because you can go win a second round.
It's a good point.
Now, so
it's a very good point. I forget about that. True. So, I think I need to make a holiday out of it, and then it doesn't feel so disappointing if I get E'd.
Yeah. I do quite like Hinckley, actually, because it's smaller.
Yeah.
And I enjoy it, because I hate these shows like Vine where I hardly see anybody because everyone's like here, everywhere. Yeah. Whereas like Hinckley is a champ show and it's got everything there, but it's just smaller. Yeah. And you can see everyone.
Yeah. I know what you mean. There. It's all in one place.
It's all in one place. And for me, a big part of agility is socialising with my friends.
Hugely, yeah.
Like, that's one of the reasons why I do it, because I just enjoy spending time with them. Oh, God, don't let them listen to this. They'll be like, ooh. I'd probably say Hinckley is one of my favourites.
Yeah. Good job it's coming up in a week's time.
I know.
So, in your opinion, what is the biggest key to success within agility? And there's so many, again, facets to this. Oh, God.
There are so many. I would say
maybe again the picking yourself back up, potentially one of them.
Picking yourself back up, I would say working with each dog that you have, because no two dogs are the same. And it's understanding your dog and your partnership with them that plays a massive role, and how they learn and how you adapt to how they learn and how you teach things. And with each dog, I learn something new. You know, I've had to change my training throughout the years because of the courses and, you know, the sport and how it's changed. But there's still like the foundations of things that I do that are still very much the same, of like building that bond and that relationship. You don't have to teach your dog agility equipment at 6 months old. Like, it doesn't.
No, exactly.
You don't need to do it.
There's no rush.
There's no rush. Tapas has never seen a jump or a tunnel in his life. Like, and he's 6 months old now. There's no rush. Nacho I didn't start teaching him agility equipment till he was 12 months old.
Oh, really?
And now...
Oh, wow, yeah.
And, like, yeah, we've got some tweaks to do, but I think he's done all right.
He's still young, yeah.
And, you know, you don't have to... There's so many more important things.
And you want your puppy, you know, you want your puppy to just have that time to be a puppy and, like, learn about just general life, yeah.
Yeah, it's so important to build that bond and that relationship away from equipment, and I think that's what we're lacking a bit of at the moment. People are so rushing so much to just get their dogs in equipment and train them these crazy things and threadle wraps and whatever else at God knows what age, and I'm just like, you don't need to do that.
No,
just build a relationship with them, build a bond, learn how they learn, work with them. And then, trust me, the agility will just fall into place.
Yes, like, and I always say, you know, like, the goal is, even if, you know your dog doesn't have the capacity to be the best or world champion, as long as you know that you've got, by the end of that dog's agility career, that you've got the best out of that particular dog, it doesn't matter if it's not beating the other dogs out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's your job as a dog trainer, isn't it? Like, get the most out of that dog.
There's goals for each dog.
Yes,
you know,
that's it.
And one person's goal isn't going to be the same as another person's goal, and that's fine. It. Otherwise, it would be really boring.
Yeah, it would.
We all have the same goals. It would be really boring. So, you know, you've got to set yourself and your dog up for success.
And not comparing either. Like, comparison is so hard, and it's so hard not to compare, but it's so detrimental when you do it. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been there and I've done it myself, and it doesn't get you anywhere. Trust me, it doesn't get you anywhere. And I think, like with Vi, I felt so much pressure when he was younger because he was a collie, and I was like, for some reason, I had this thing that people are going to be watching me because I've got a large dog and judging me. And I do think I put pressure on him when he was younger, and maybe that is why he is the way he is, or it played a role in it. And that's the first time I've ever had that with a dog before, and it got me nowhere. Yeah, it literally got me nowhere.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Didn't work. So now I learned my lesson, and like Nacho, I'm just like, yeah, he'll be great. We'll get there.
Yeah,
it'll
exactly.
Be fine.
Yeah, it's that not rushing
Tapas,
into it.
Tapas, I don't know what Tapas is going to be like at the moment. He's 6 months old. Yeah. He might be good. He might not be. He shows me things that I really like at the moment. He shows me things I don't like at the moment.
Absolutely.
But again, it's about, I'm building that relationship with him.
Yeah, you're still learning about it.
Bring a toy to me or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, there's no rush. No, you don't have to rush. Focus on the important things before the agility stuff, because when it comes down to it, your bonding, your relationship is the most important thing. Like, that's it.
Yeah, so, that is definitely the key, I think, in agility.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you don't have that, or if it's not as strong as it should be, then that's when things start falling apart.
Yeah, for sure. So this one's kind of similar. What is your best piece of advice for those who aspire to reach the top level of agility? So say people who, you know, want to compete for GB or want to win at Crufts, stuff like that.
I would say, well, firstly, you have to decide what you want these days, because I think GB is very different to Crufts and Olympia and whatever. So I think you have to decide what you want.
Can't do it all the time.
You cannot do it all.
No.
So last year, for example, with Nacho, I gave up going to shows because he was grade 5 when I was going through tryouts. And then obviously running for GB. And I stopped going to shows to get win-ups because I knew it wouldn't benefit us.
No, yeah.
So we eventually got them. And then his first champ was like in September. He could have been in champ way before then, but I made the decision to focus on GB. And I think you have to do that now. You can't, there's so much now. There's so many competitions out there. You have to
prioritize,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you have to.
And just realise that as well, there is no, like, I feel like some people might think, oh, I have to do everything and, you know, to be successful and stuff, but it's not even realistically achievable.
No, because when is your dog going to have a rest then?
Yeah,
like,
no, exactly.
When is your dog going to have, like, some downtime away from agility?
Yeah.
So, no, you can't do everything, like, all the time. At some point, something's got to give.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think it's sitting down, writing your priorities and what is your main focus in your priority, first of all. And then once you've got your big goal here, it's then the little goals. And when I say little goals, it's like, what are your weaknesses? You know, what are your smaller focuses on that are going to get you to achieving that big one?
Yeah, exactly. Because there's no good just setting that big goal with no way to get there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You can't just be like, well, I want to get on Team GB.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
great.
Cool. Yeah.
So, and that's what, like, I have a lot of junior students.
Yeah.
And I'll say to them, I'll be like, right, what's your goal this year? And they'll be like, to qualify for crofts.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay. How are you doing that then?
Yeah.
Like, how?
And not just enter the qualifier.
And not just, well, go to the shows with cross qualifiers. Yeah. And I'm like, okay,
break
so
it down.
When you're not at those cross qualifiers, what are your goals to achieve?
Yeah.
Getting to those cross
It's training
qualifiers?
goals, isn't it?
Exactly. It's training goals. It's having discipline at shows. Like, that is, I would say, one of the biggest things.
Putting dogs back on seesaws, for example.
Contacts, having that discipline of, you've got a seesaw weakness, cool. You've got to work that. You've got to let something go and put them back on or whatever else. And it's having that discipline.
For the greater good of the qualifier that you want to win.
The main focus.
Yeah.
So that's why you've got to have priorities.
Yes, definitely.
Because otherwise...
You're just aimlessly doing it.
Where you're just running and letting things go. Then when you get to your qualifier or tryouts or whatever else, you'll have no seesaw, you'll have no contacts, you'll have nothing.
And you end up achieving less.
Have discipline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I'd say goals, but proper goal setting, not just saying, my goal is to do this.
Yeah, actually sitting down and...
You're going to,
how
you're going to do it. And then having the discipline to carry that out.
Yeah.
Whether that's in training or it shows.
Yeah, because again, it's easy enough to sit down and write your goals and your plan and stuff, but then doing it and not just doing it for a week, being consistent with it until you see results, even if it takes forever or it seems to be taking forever, is another story.
But like my students, like I have some guys that have been doing agility and they've been competing for like a year, let's say. And, you know, I've told them, don't lose your dog walk contact because you'll regret it. And I've been there. Yeah. I lost the championship.
Trust me.
Trust me. But I wouldn't drill it into them because there's no point me drilling it into them because they have to learn for themselves.
Yeah. It's only going to hit home when they actually learn for themselves.
When you lose something big.
Yes.
Then you'll go, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm someone that only ever seems to learn the hard way. So it does work, but...
Yeah. So there's only, listen to your trainer, i.e. me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I'm not just saying it because I'm saying it because I've been there and I've done it and I've gone through it and I've lost something big and important.
Yeah, that's why trainers are trainers, because they've been through all the things they're telling you already.
They've done the things.
Yes.
They've done the things. We've lost the things. We've won the things.
Yes.
So listen to us.
Yeah, pretty much.
We know what we're talking about.
Yeah. No, that's so true. So last question then, what are your current personal agility goals?
So WAO was one of them. And because I was in games, I was doing a lot of games focused stuff. So I was doing that, but obviously now that's gone.
I need to get more into games. I did it once and it blew my mind, because when you used to just following the numbers, honestly, so much brain power, but it does look fun, so I need to do more.
It is fun, and I love it because it's really strategic.
Yeah.
And you have to know you and your dog and your partnership.
Yeah.
100%. You need to know your timing. You need to... I just love it because it's just fresh and different, and it really shows the people that are strategic and understand their partnership.
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy it. I'm really struggling with another goal at the moment because for GB I'm travelling reserve, which is a hard position to be in.
Yeah, that is tricky.
So obviously I'm going to train as if I am running.
Yeah.
Because you never know about these things. You could be called up.
Exactly.
But then obviously you've got that come down of when it comes to it, and, you know, luckily no one's injured or their dogs aren't injured or whatever, or no one's pulled out, and then it will come a point when it will hit home, and
that's
all
true.
that hard work that I've done,
you don't get to showcase it.
Will obviously but then what I've also got to think about is that hard work I can bank it for hopefully future stuff,
and even just everything else in the season, like in general.
Exactly. So that's how I'm looking at it. I'm working as if I'm running, and then if I don't, I've banked all that training and that hard work, and hopefully it will pay off further down the line. I would like a champ ticket this year. That is one of my other big goals. I would like a champ ticket. I think he deserves a champ ticket.
Definitely.
So that is one of my other big goals. But in those big goals are smaller goals as well. I mean, one of my goals wasn't to win the Olympia qualifier to get to the semis, but hey, we've done that.
Doesn't it work like that, honestly? I'm not actually that fussed about this, but it's going to happen, isn't it?
I know. That wasn't even on my list of things to do.
Yeah.
But hey ho.
There we go. We can't complain.
One good thing is, now I've done it, like this weekend at Nottingham, if he comes off his seesaw, I can put him back on. Like, that's how I'll look at it.
Yes.
And I'll run that Olympia course, and I'll handle it all the ways that I don't like, if that makes sense. Yeah. So I will go into that and I will handle it all the ways that I don't like and work his seesaw. So that's how I would go into it. And that's where discipline comes in again, because a lot of people would just run it.
Yeah.
And they're just...
Well, as a trainer, when you're teaching people, I always get people to do the ways they hate or would never choose. They're like, oh, I'd never do this in competition. But I'm like, yeah, but what if you get on the wrong side of your dog? And stuff like
exactly.
that.
You never can. Or some course that you cannot physically handle it any other way. Like,
exactly.
You know. So you have to do it. You have to force yourself to do that. So I will be doing that this weekend.
Yes.
But yeah, I would say GB, I'll train like I'm on the team. And then we'll see what happens. And then win a champ ticket.
Yes.
I would like
so
that.
Close at Vine. So close.
Oh, bloody pole. I'm like, you're medium. Why are you having poles down? It's so frustrating.
And it's hard because it's not, I mean, there are obviously things you can train to help with pole knocking, but it's not one of those things like, not overly, like you can only do so much is what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? And then it's kind of just bad luck.
Well, it's also like his runs, what I'll do is I write down like what happened in the run and where he had the pole down. And, like, his poles are all over the place.
Yeah, there's no pattern. It's not even like it's a slice or something.
No, like that one he had down at Vine was a straight jump. I think I spoke to Jo about it, and she thinks he had it down because he was looking at the tunnel behind the jump.
Yes, yeah.
So he jumped flat and took it with his front. But I'm like, oh, my God.
Still, it's like the tunnel was going to be there. Like, what?
I know.
Yeah,
but,
no, it's annoying.
I mean, I think he just... I'm hoping it will figure itself out. And I mean, he doesn't adjust very well from surface to surface. So I'm hoping throughout the season now, I mean, we've got CSJ, that's on sand, but then the rest of the season is pretty much on grass. So I'm hoping he will just figure out his legs and his feet and it will get better.
Yeah.
But
Arrow's always been a bit poly, to be fair, but the thing that really gets me
I think it's because they're going so fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, slow down a bit there.
The thing that gets me is the brick out the wall, like the one singular brick out the wall, or like the tyre like opening by like that much. It's 5. It's like, no, he barely touched it. Could have been the wind.
Before I went to WAO, I was drilling walls and long jumps and spreads, because a lot of those are in gamblers.
Yes, yeah, we don't see tons of spreads actually, do we, usually at shows?
No,
I don't seem to.
So I was drilling them because tryouts, GB tryouts, he had no poles down.
Oh,
not
really?
one pole down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not one pole down. Yeah, he went through the whole tryouts without a pole. And then all of a sudden we've gone outside, back to grass, and he's taken like one pole in each run. One pole. That's it.
Interesting.
And I'm like, oh,
see, a lot of dogs
so
are the opposite. They'd like slip more on the Astro and take the poles, wouldn't they?
I think it's because I know he's not good on Astro, so I worked a lot on Astro.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
So now we've switched back to grass. I think he went back to being poly.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm hoping now we'll stick to grass for a while and it'll get better. But
yeah, hopefully.
So frustrating.
There's a lot of different, even like the change of like contact equipment and surfaces. There's a lot for them to get used to, isn't there?
I think we ask a lot of our dogs sometimes. We do ask a lot of them. Like you said, changing contact equipment. Like, that's such a major thing, I think.
Yeah, it looks the same to us, but it feels like a completely different piece of equipment to them.
It has to feel different underneath them.
Absolutely. And seesaw tipping and stuff.
Yeah, and like sometimes we don't get an opportunity to like train the other one, like other manufacturer, whatever. And we just throw them in the deep end, and then we get pissy with them because they miss their dog walk. And
exactly.
I do think we ask a lot of our dogs sometimes, and we do have to remember that, you know, they are dogs at the end of the day, and they are doing this just because we're asking them to do it.
Yeah. Something to remember as well is like the crowd's reaction at Crufts, like the people that don't do agility, and they're just in absolute awe, or like people that don't do agility watching like your friends that don't do agility, and they're like, how on earth do they do that? Do you know what I mean? They're Never mind at that level.
Incredible. Yeah. Like, we're so self-critical.
Yeah. And like analytical and stuff. And yet, really, it's amazing what they do. But because we're so used to it and we're around it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you always raise the bar.
We are always striving for perfection, aren't we? Which
absolutely
isn't necessarily a bad thing. But we also have to remember that, you know, what we are doing is pretty phenomenal, and it's not like show jumping with horses where you're sat on the horse. We are guiding a animal around that could literally run off to another rig. So,
exactly. Got to remember their dogs.
Have to remember that. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, yes, but we still do it, don't we?
We still, do. For some reason, we do. We're all crazy, but
we always chase that high. Like I said earlier, we want that high.
Absolutely. Well, that is all the questions. Thank you again.
No, thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And there you have it, guys. My conversation with Ashleigh. Thank you again so much to Ashleigh for hopping on the podcast with me for this conversation. It was so much fun. We had a great laugh and I learnt a lot. I'm sure you guys did as well. But yeah, what am I up to for the next week then? So Hinckley is pretty much the only exciting thing I've got in the next week. 2 days of Hinckley, Saturday, Sunday, champ show, lots of things, singles, stakes, although we don't need stakes anymore, but still, it rolls down, don't come for me. I will be holding a seesaw anyway. But yeah, champ and singles is the main reason for Hinckley, I think. So yeah, we'll be going there Saturday, Sunday, so maybe see some of you guys there. Very excited again. Like I said, literally every weekend is jam-packed from now going forward. But I do love Hinckley. I like how Hinckley, like Ashleigh said about Hinckley, Hinckley's kind of a smaller feeling champ show, which is quite nice, quite cosy. You get to see everyone, cute layout. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then Arrow has a physio appointment as well this week, because obviously we're so busy at the moment and it's only getting busier throughout the rest of the summer. So super important to keep getting him checked out. Shout out to Arrow's awesome physio, Megan Hunt at Pace Therapy. We love you lots. We appreciate you. And that's pretty much it, guys. Please do make sure you're following the podcast, because next week is going to be another monthly Q&A. So on Sunday, I'll be asking you guys to ask me any questions you may have for me, and I'll be answering those questions here on the podcast in a week's time. And yeah, got more cool guests lined up. I will be having Katerina, the running contact queen, on the podcast very, very shortly. So you do not want to miss these episodes. So make sure you're following. And if you do enjoy the podcast, if you like this episode, if you like the podcast in general, please do leave it a 5-star rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast, because I know there's a few more platforms out there. I just don't know of them. I'm a fake podcaster. I don't even know these other platforms. But yeah, that would mean the absolute world to me. Also follow me on all of the social medias at Pause in Pursuit and Summer Clark. You probably already, all guys, I can't get my words out. You guys probably all already, that was a mouthful, to be fair to myself, follow me on social media. But if you don't, I am active on there pretty much every day, especially Instagram, always updating the stories. Also TikTok. I do think I am hilarious over on TikTok. So please do follow me on all of the channels. I also offer online coaching for agility. So if you would like some help either setting or achieving your agility goals for this season, or just in general, please do fill out my online coaching inquiry form. The link to that is in the description of this podcast episode. Filling it out commits you to absolutely nothing. We can just have a little chat, see if it's a good fit, see if I can help you. If not, absolutely no hard feelings. But if so, I would love to help you and we can work together. So please give that a fill out, and I will be in touch with you very, very shortly. I think that is everything I ramble on about in my outros, and I will probably see a lot of you at Hinckley, if not something coming up, Thames, who knows, all the things. But yeah, have a great week, guys. Bye.